What's up, everybody? We are back with another edition of the HeelCast. I am Hurls, your host tonight. Joining me, the one, the only, the man of 1,004 names, AEW Impact Dude. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Hurls? It is great to be back. I think this is my first show of 2021, man. It's a little late in coming, but hey, we're here.
Exactly, the long journey that was 2020 that we could never escape.
Sounds like your dog agrees with us.
Yeah, dog's just as mad. But, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to unravel tonight. I mean, it's going to be relatively a shorter show, I would say, but there's still stuff to talk about. Before we go any further, AEW Impact Dude, do you have any stuff that you want to plug?
Oh man, we gotta plug our buddy Andre Corbeil, right? We gotta plug Impact Asylum. You know, there are homes away from home, so you know, gotta make sure that we get the love out there for those guys. Man, I'm probably missing somebody. Who else am I missing? It's been a while, dude.
It's been a long time. Yeah. Geez, I mean, yeah, we still got the Impact Lounge with BQ.
Is BQ doing shows again, or is he chilling?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of off and on. Yeah, I don't think he's doing shows right now. At least I haven't seen them, I should say. So, but yeah, I think you hit, you know, the main ones. You know, FK9, he's got his YouTube channel, doing good things still.
FK9's doing awesome things, man. He's absolutely killing. I am so proud of him. It's not even funny.
Yeah, he's come a long way, even since I've known him. So,
and let's not forget our buddy Larkin. Let's not forget Larkin, and he's got 1,001 podcasts. I can't name them all. I know he's got the lingerie show, but shockingly enough, folks, the weight classes aren't what you would expect. I know that he's still doing the Max podcast and with
pop culture,
the pop culture podcast. He's all over the place. I mean, if you look around for podcasts, you probably have found Larkin and might not even realize. I think he's on about 8 out of 10 podcasts that are out there. I think so.
Exactly. He's killing some of the servers. Someone's servers, I should say.
Until he gets smushed by one of his gals, you know, he'll be doing just fine. So yeah, we can't forget Larkin.
No. Hopefully we'll get him back on here someday.
We have to. We probably be helpful if we decided more than an hour before we were going to do a show and, you know, like reached out and said, hey, Larkin, you want to join? That probably would help our cause just a little bit. But, you know, we do things the last minute here around the HeelCast, folks.
Right. So anyways, let's start it off. The last show we did, it was me and Goldberg. We went over Hard to Kill and kind of gave our thoughts on that. So I'm not really going to go into it, but AEW Impact Dude, I don't know if you saw it or if you did, but just from at least the results aspect, what was your 2 cents?
You know, I mean, I think in some ways, you know, they're building for the future here, right? They're building for this AEW partnership, which everybody's so excited about, and I think that they're going to do a slow burn to it. So I think that was the biggest takeaway from it. Was, you know, of course, you know, Omega is gonna go over. The Good Brothers are gonna go over too, right? So it's not really all that surprising, but I think that's the thing, is sometimes to do a correct and solid build, you need to be a little bit predictable. So you know, it was pretty cool. You know, I did enjoy it though. Definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main things was the commentary was refreshing. I'm just the improvement from D'Lo Brown and Matt Stryker to Josh Matthews, I think was just, that really helped the show. And I thought the show was a nice, solid wrestling show. Nothing too crazy happened, but it was just, I thought the booking made sense. The matches were solid. There really wasn't anything that you could have really asked for besides a crazy surprise, but you don't need those every single time. So I thought the show was a lot better than Bound for Glory, and I enjoyed it. The main event was really, really good, and so was the X Division match.
So let's talk about D'Lo and Stryker versus, Josh and Madison for a second. And I'm going to give you some insight, and you're probably just going to laugh at me and tell me I'm an idiot. I'm used to it, Hurls. You do it all the time, so feel free. But, the first time that I really heard Stryker, and I mean, I watched some Lucha Underground, but I didn't watch a ton of it, right? But the first time I really heard it was, that Lucha Underground Impact crossover WrestleMania, I guess, weekend show a few years ago when Stryker called with Josh. And my God, dude, to me, they sound like the same goddamn person. It was like the same. It was like me talking to myself. Like if you just put the same voice over here. And I've also noticed that the couple times that I've turned on WWE, Michael Cole, it's the same. It's like the third dude in the same pod, and they got some other dude there on. I guess it was Raw when they did that Legends show. I turned it on for a little bit. Dude, these four dudes, they could all, like, I don't understand, like it's like you're the same fucking person. Like, your voice inflections are the same, your voice pattern is all the same goddamn thing, right? So when I listen to Stryker and D'Lo, the difference is D'Lo versus Madison Rayne. Now, there's just a little bit of an improvement there, right? Like, it's a strikingly amazing improvement because A, he knows the fuck he's talking about, and B, he actually cares. Has a little emotion in his voice. But it also still sounds so similar in a lot of aspects, right? Because I don't feel like Stryker is that much different from Josh to really present it as, look at our wonderful new announce team. On the flip side, when you turn on AEW, right, you got Tony Schiavone, you got JR, and you got Excalibur. And those are three strikingly different voices. And they sound so fresh, even though two of them are like 100 years. Like, seriously, two of them have been calling matches since the early 80s that I can remember, okay? JR probably been doing it since the early 70s. But they sound so refreshing because it's not the same goddamn thing all the time. And so I think that Stryker and D'Lo are going to get old. And I think part of it is going to be because D'Lo's going to get the blame because he doesn't sound like that. He's not... He he's not Bobby Heenan, obviously. He's not some of the other one. He doesn't have, not a real colorful character is probably the way to say it, right? I hate to compare him to Lawler because that's who I was thinking of, but Lawler is like so kind of over the top. You almost really don't want to be like Lawler. But he's gonna get the blame. But I think that there's still something missing from this announce team, and it's not that because there's something missing. It's because it's like it's the same shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to let you finish. I do get your point. I do think, when Vince McMahon controls everything, that has a lot to do with it, and he wants them to announce a certain style. So I think, obviously, it's going to rub off on Stryker that way.
Yeah, probably. I mean, and don't get me wrong, this is probably the Vince McMahon effect. It's just that it's like, that's all we get in wrestling. And I think that's part of the reason why AEW feels so refreshing is because they don't sound like WWE. And the other ones all do. You know what I mean? But at any rate, yes, that was my take on the announce team. Although like I said, anything that gets Madison out of there is fantastic. And Josh was he was just wiped out. I mean, there is such a thing as just being completely burned out on it. And there's only so many times you can call an empty arena match. He's been doing it for fucking years, right? I mean, like, he's been dealing with dead zones for years, and he was calling shows all by himself for a while and everything else. I give the guy nothing but props, but it was time, So the added, energy is good, but I will tell you that they still need to work on their energy of their show in general. And this is one way where WWE, by going into the Thunderdome, AEW, by, bringing in crowd noise and small crowds, have really been able to shine over Impact. You go into a really dark arena, which is how they do it, and then you're really quiet, and it puts you to sleep. Because that's what happens when you turn the lights out and so the fucking noise off, you go goddamn sleep. And so they need to do something to bring up the energy of their program. And people who watch a show will be like, hey, look, it's a great program. it's not necessarily anything wrong with the program in general. It's just that the presentation of it needs some life. And I think with life, you need to bring in some light, and I think you need to bring in some energy. And right now, their mic, their ring mic, is way too loud, right? And the crowd noise is way too low. And so all you hear is the thunk, the thunk, the thunk every time you touch the ring, and it doesn't quite work right. Not for me anyway.
Did you notice the difference from what they did? There was one change they made at the pay-per-view that I noticed, and I thought it helped a little bit. They piped in crowd noise.
Yes, they are pumping in some crowd noise. Yes, yeah. And I did notice that. And it's the first time I've ever seen them do it, and I've been screaming for them to do it for the last 10 years because it makes the show more exciting. And I don't care. Oh, why are you piping? You know what? Sit your fucking Nico at the door and put the goddamn crowd noise in there and give me a better goddamn show. Like seriously, check it at the door, asshole. So they are, but it's not enough. And because it's so dark, it comes out as force. Versus when AEW does it, and let's face it, AEW is doing it. There's no way they're generating that much noise from that crowd. It feels so organic. Mm-hmm. Doesn't feel like they're doing it.
Yeah, I think. Well, when they put the wrestlers in the on the side, obviously that helped. That kind of sparked, and then you got the fans dispersed around the arena. That obviously gives it a little more atmosphere. I like Matt Striker. Going back to that is for the fact that he actually knows the wrestling moves. He's a lot more knowledgeable when it comes to that. One thing I was really impressed with what he did at the pay-per-view, though, was he was talking about Nevaeh's training, how she was trained by Les Thatcher, and that's a style that Les Thatcher likes to use a lot. I thought that was pretty cool. So I think you would have never got that out of Josh Matthews. And no offense to the guy. He's basically the JB of Impact now. He's everywhere doing stuff for them. I mean, he was the one constant doing pre-shows, and he was doing the Twitch shows and the one night onlys and the Impact Plus exclusives. So he does a solid job. But I think Matt Striker, when it comes to just knowledge of the business and the moves, I think he did a phenomenal job. And let's not forget, Matt Striker used to be a teacher, left his teaching job to be a professional wrestler. So I think the story behind that was he actually just called in one day and never came back. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely different. The only thing that I would say about that is, and it's Josh was really guilty doing this, and Striker to a certain extent. I heard him do this a couple times watching the show this past week, but they run out of things to say, so they bring that stuff up, right? And it's a lot more organic when, say, Jim Ross does it. And I understand, you're talking about the greatest play-by-play people of all time. You're probably going to start with Jim Ross, right? And if you don't, it's only because you started with Gorilla Monsoon, right? So I don't want to compare these guys to Jim Ross. I don't think it's a fair comparison. But when Jim Ross does it within the context of the match. And he works it into the match. And he explains how, Les Thatcher does this. This is what he does. This is why he does it, and this is how it fits in. Versus just, and she happens to be trained by Les Thatcher because I know that she was trained by Les Thatcher, and I need to say something now. And Striker needs to work on that organic aspect of it. Josh was horrible at it, but Josh was run out of shit to say. I mean, he had a partner who was. Well, I mean, she was good for some things. I'm sure he knows what they are, but not so much for being a partner in the wrestling world, right? So he was always compensating for it, and that's why he would run out of things to say. So I do think that Striker can work on that a little bit, and I think that as he gains experience with D'Lo, and they actually work together for a while, hopefully they'll establish some chemistry, and they can bounce things back and forth between the two of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, when you have Shivani and Jim Ross, like you said, their voices are just you hear it, you know it right away. And I think with Striker, he's definitely improved tremendously from when he was in WWE. Obviously, the Lucha Underground, he did some good stuff with Vampiro over there on the commentating team. And I'm hoping he can bring that energy over to Impact. But it's going to take a while for them to mesh. And, I just think with Josh, and like you said, it's just an upgrade. He's been doing it for 6 years, ever since the Destination America days. So yeah, it was just time. It was time to do something different. I'm glad Josh got a promotion out of it. So it kind of worked out for everybody, I think. So.
And as much as I think that D'Lo is going to be the scapegoat, I will say I am a little worried about him. D'Lo Brown was never a real colorful character, and I think you do want a little bit more colorful character in that role, right? I mean, could you imagine putting Val Venus in that role? Right? Maybe not in 2021, but you understand what I'm saying. Like the
Right.
guy is just colorful. I'm not talking about Johnny Swinger corny colorful. I'm talking about just a colorful guy. Jesse the Body Ventura was another very colorful, person to have in a color role. And D'Lo's not that way. D'Lo was never a guy who went, whoa, that's D'Lo Brown. I mean, he was good. He was solid. He got the job done. He was a guy that did a lot of great things. I don't want to take away from his career any, but he wasn't the guy you just like, cool, right? And I think in that role, that's what you'd like to see. And when you have Jim Ross on your sideline, you're going to have enough of that in Tony Schiavone that Excalibur might not be that really colorful person either, but they got enough bases covered, right? That they're able to accomplish it.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the great color guys of the past, I mean, Jesse the Body, like, how can you top him? He was just so good. Bobby the Brain Heenan, obviously.
The goat.
Yeah. And even when Macho Man was doing commentary in WWF in the early 90s, he was great at it. Obviously, that's one of the reasons he left the WWF, because he didn't want to do it, but he was great at it. So, yeah, they don't have a guy like that unless you're going to put, I don't even know who could step in to do something like that. I mean, Callis was just more even keel. He never really had that colorful character, so to speak. So, I honestly, the role that Callis is in now, I think it's his best role he's had since he was the Virus in ECW. So.
Yeah, and I think that Callis is great in the role that he has with Omega right now. But I think in terms of color commentators and who the next great color commentator is, I think it's somebody that's actually been doing some commentating recently. Just isn't quite ready to get out of the ring yet. And I think you can probably guess who that is, because he's just been killing it.
Jericho.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if Jericho decides that he wants to go into color commentating, I think he's absolutely going to tear it the fuck up. He gets it, and I think that's the key, is that Jericho actually gets it, and the other ones they don't quite get it. But Jericho's been doing it long enough, and he understands long enough, and he got to be around Bobby the Brain Heenan, and he got to be around some of these other guys, Roddy Piper would have been freaking amazing as a color commentator.
Yes.
I mean, rest in peace, Roddy. Roddy would have been, but we don't get Roddy.
If I remember correctly, I think he did do some in the early 90s for like a pay-per-view or two.
He has done it before. Yeah, he has done it before, but never as a full-time gig.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a hot rod. I mean, like that's the kind of character that you want. I mean, that's what made Lawler great, was the fact that Lawler was just kind of over the top. But it's kind of hard to compare, most of these guys to a Lawler who was just so over the top that maybe he doesn't even work in 2021 anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why I don't think he does, because like you can't do the puppies, gimmick for now. You can't do that, and for him to just be more of a serious commentator just doesn't work. He has to throw that humor in there.
Yeah. And
he worked so great in the Attitude Era because he had that laughter after something funny would happen. WWE doesn't do a lot of funny stuff like that's actually funny anymore. Like, I mean, the WWE 24/7 stuff, I don't even really, I've watched a couple, but I haven't heard anything about it lately. So I don't know. I don't think he can really fit in. I mean, if we're talking about, Impact, the best guy they ever had was Don West. I mean, there's no question. He was the GOAT of Impact commentating as far as the color guy goes. So I don't think you can top him with his amount of charisma. So, yeah, I'm hopefully optimistic that D'Lo is going to do a serviceable job. He's probably not even going to be as good as the Pope was, but we shall see.
I like the Pope. I miss Pope. But with NWA, he might as well just stay fucking retired.
I honestly, and he comes out of retirement for the NWA. Like, let's not forget, he was doing commentating for Impact, and he had one match after that. He had one match with Bobby Lashley, put him over. And then that was it.
Yeah.
So
it was terrible. It did nothing for Lashley either, I should add. It just made Pope look terrible. Pope just got the shit kicked out of him, and that was it, dude. You just get buried. And Lashley was already a beast. He didn't need that kind of a rub.
No.
Oh man, that was horrible.
No, he really didn't. But let's go to our next one. Obviously, the main event of Hard to Kill was changed. It was supposed to be the Guns and Rich Swann versus the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, but Alex Shelley was not able to make it.
I heard
his career.
I see now. That's not what I heard. I heard that he was beating his family and in jail, and I heard that he had travel problems and all at the same time. I heard he couldn't get a ride because he was in jail. Yeah, that's it.
Well, he was drunk too, apparently.
He had drug issues. Yes. Drunk and drug issues. Yes.
So basically, Scott Hall and Chris Benoit combined.
I mean, yeah. He's. I understand he's their love child, actually. Yeah.
Throw a little Kylie Ray in there, you know.
Nancy got around, and the sperm split in half, and it was what it was. Alex Shelley came out.
Yeah.
You heard that first on the HeelCast, folks.
Right.
You won't hear that anywhere else.
No, this is breaking news.
Absolutely breaking
news.
News.
Just like Donovan Dijak, like I broke that so many years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Nothing but breaking news on this podcast. We do it the best.
Absolutely.
Better than Meltzer, better than Cornette, better than Bischoff. You heard it here.
That's right.
But his replacement was Moose, which I liked. I enjoyed. I thought Moose added a nice dynamic in it. But, Alex Shelley, couldn't make it. He set the record straight today on Twitter. He's got a career in, what was it? He's something in the medical.
Physical therapy assistant, I think he said.
Okay.
I think he said he was a PTA.
Okay. It's PTA. Nice.
You sent the article. I heard
Griggs,
it from you.
Griggs did.
Griggs sent the article.
Yes.
Well, gosh darned it. You just broke that one too. The article came from Griggs.
But, he doesn't want a wrestling contract. He's just going to be able to wrestle when he can. I really got nothing.
He's calling himself a physical therapy clinician. So you really don't know what the difference is that between a physical therapist and a physical therapy assistant. But I can ask my therapist because I'll be seeing him on Monday.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know what the difference is there. But he also said that he kind of made it sound like he's kind of under quarantine for a while, or he's not allowed to do any wrestling for a while. It kind of seemed like, until he got vaccinated. But I would think he'd probably be vaccinated by now, right? Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, he would be getting closer. I think that he's actually a full-blown physical therapist. I think the clinician is actually the real physical therapist and not the assistant.
Oh, okay. So he's like
he's actually the top dog at the place, which is good because we like him and we want him to be successful. So I'm good with that.
He actually gave an interesting story about when he was in New Japan and he was going to school, and I guess he broke his wrist in a match, and he basically flew home right from the airport, went to class. That's dedication right there.
And Alex
rest.
Alex is an awesome guy. So what's the deal? So why did he not go to the shows?
So, from what I read, and it's been a while now, he was not allowed to make the show because the the medical people that he works with, I don't know where he works, but I'm guessing a hospital maybe. It sounds more like a hospital than maybe a gym or something like that. But they basically said that he would be putting other wrestlers at risk for COVID, and that they would not allow him to leave until he got vaccinated. Is kind of what I got from that.
Yeah, so the gist of it is that's pretty close. He said that he works for a company. They have surgeons and doctors there, so he's working at a clinic. And they basically said that they don't want him traveling until he's vaccinated because they don't want to bring it back to their patients, right? So, I mean, he doesn't want them giving it to anybody either, but he wants to be vaccinated. But here's the part that really, really got me. And I just appreciate this about this guy so much, is that he said that, he didn't want to get vaccinated so soon. He wants to wait for the vaccination because he's worried that it's not safe enough. So here's a fellow that had a choice. He could take the vaccination and he'd go off and he could wrestle, right? And do whatever he wants to, or he can basically sit at home and go to work, right? And not get the vaccination. But he believed enough in his belief that the virus or the vaccine wasn't ready to not get it. At the same point in time, he believed enough in his patients and in his company to not go wrestle anyway, right? So, and don't get me wrong, it's kind of hard to hide that you were on a wrestling pay-per-view. That one might have been difficult to hide. I gotcha, but the point is that he did the right thing, and still kept his moral ground. So whether you're pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine doesn't really matter. You can still appreciate a guy who is trying to do the right thing across the board. This is pretty cool.
It also reminds me of the when he was in Ring of Honor and he was the only medical person backstage, and he wasn't. I don't even know if he graduated yet, but. I just find that story pretty funny.
Well, he's still not a medic as a physical therapist. It's not the same anyway. Although I will tell you that my physical therapist is that he's been doing this forever and he owns his own practice, so he's pretty damn good. But he's knowledgeable as all get. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still not sure that you would want him as the ringside doctor. Other things can happen too. It's not just all about breaking a bone or tearing an ACL. And if that happens, it's like, you're gonna go to the hospital now. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, yes, your ACL is torn. Good luck. See you in a year.
I just found that story funny though. When that came out, it was so says Chernoff. Gonna drop his podcast on here, but he had a funny good time with that one.
Did you hear the digs when Taya got arrested? They took a shot and said she was probably going to prison in Stanford for 2, with an option for maybe a 3rd year.
Oh gosh, I did not.
So as she got arrested away and went away, they said that, and somebody in the back, and I don't know why I want to think it was AC Romero, but don't hold me to that, was standing there and he goes, "Well, it's better than going to Baltimore." And it was somebody, I wasn't sure if he'd actually, been in Ring of Honor or whatnot, but it's better than going to Baltimore. And it was just so funny that everybody picked up on the Stanford, because it's like Tommy Dreamer saying it. Yeah, she's going to go for 2. She'll probably get 2, maybe with an option for a 3rd year. Just poking fun at the fact that she's going to go, to WWE. And then the other guy goes, well, at least she's not going to ROH. And then nobody picked up on that at all. That made me laugh my ass off because, of course, I'm in Baltimore, and I used to, when I drove to work anyway, used to drive by the Ring of Honor corporate office every fucking day. So, I'm going to pick up on that one.
I think that can put the rumors of any Impact Ring of Honor partnership ever happening, well, at least for a long time, in my opinion. That kind of solidified it a little bit for me there.
I mean, they've had their chance, right? They've had their chance like 18 million times. Yep. They've reached out to them, and now Ring of Honor's like dead, and Impact's got a real partner. It's like, they could have been doing business with you, but oh well.
Yep. Never burn bridges. May come back to bite you in the ass.
I mean, dude, you always want to do other things for other people, because when you use people, they stop doing things for you. They don't tell their friends to do stuff for you, and the next thing you know, man, you can't get nothing off the ground. It's just you. When you make it about you, it's just about you. So yeah, don't burn those bridges. That's just terrible. People that burn bridges are constantly rebranding, constantly renaming, and it just doesn't work out.
Yep. Exactly. So, and I mean, obviously, we all know, we from, I guess this could be kind of our next segue into our next story with Tama Tonga, kind of went off on Impact, and he seemed really salty about this, kind of Bullet Club forming in AEW and Impact, and he made mention of, oh, WWE, we'll work with you, let's do it. I think it'd be great. But I wanted to get...
Vince McMahon is so excited right now.
Yeah, because, that one time they had some shows together in '93 or whatever, that really worked out so well. I just think these guys, Tama Tonga, I'm not a huge Bullet Club, I don't really know the history, but I'm going to assume that they weren't that big of a deal with this group. Am I correct in saying that, or
with what group? Tama Tonga?
Yeah, Tama Tonga.
Oh man, after Omega and the Bucks left, I don't think anybody's paid any attention to it.
Right. That was, and then AJ Styles obviously too, and Prince Devitt, Prince Balor. Yeah,
he was there. He was the original guy, and then AJ took it over, and then Omega took it over. And I guess now it's Tama Tonga's the 18th leader of the the Bullet Club.
Yeah. So they're basically on the LWO right now, right?
It is pretty much something like that.
Yeah. But I just thought I wanted to bring that up because I think NJPW and AEW, there was always this, oh, they're gonna work together, but I don't think so. I think NJPW is just being really, they're kind of doing what Ring of Honor's did to Impact, so many years ago. Not that much years ago, but they just seem happy to be working with Ring of Honor, and that's really it.
So
I think that's a bad business move.
I'm not sure how much I buy that. Now, I'm very famous for saying this, and I'm never right. So, you have your Donovan Dijak moment, which is a pretty big moment. I got a bunch of little moments which add up to my Donovan Dijak moment. So, we all have our Donovan Dijak moment. I think that these are mine. Let me ask you a question. Who owns the rights to the Bullet Club name? Like who owns that?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say it's not New Japan though.
Okay. So it's not New Japan, but New Japan's using it, right?
Correct.
So somebody's allowing New Japan to use it if it's not them, right?
Right.
And I actually think it probably is New Japan, but it doesn't really matter for the sake of this argument. And I keep hearing references to the Bullet Club on AEW too, right?
Correct.
So if it's not New Japan, okay, then it's AEW, right? Or it's somebody else that's allowing them to both use it. So if it's AEW allowing New Japan to use it, then it's kind of interesting. If it's New Japan, which I think it is, allowing AEW to use it, then that's also the same interesting, right? But it's interesting. If it's a third party allowing them both to use it, and neither one has expressed the fact that they want, the what's the word that I'm looking for here, Hurls? The singular right to use it.
Copyright?
Not copyright, but that's okay. We don't need to worry about my tongue being tied right now.
Sure.
Exclusive. The word is exclusive. Here on the HeelCast, we don't know shit about being exclusive. But they didn't request the exclusive rights to it. Okay, what the fuck are you paying for? To me, the fact that AEW is using it and New Japan is using it tells you something. I think something's in the works because of that. I also say to you, Tama Tonga's running his mouth a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew who the fuck. I have heard of Tom. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard of Tama Tonga. I believe he was in MLW for a while, right?
I don't
know why I thought he was in
MLW.
MLW.
His brother that was in Impact, that was Micah, because I know he's in New Japan. I think that's his brother, but he could have been. He could have been.
Okay, so anyway, I don't know, right? But the point is that I personally believe that this guy is spouting off because is getting ready to start something with them. I think that this is, and again, this is my Donovan Dijak moment. I believe that this is a work, so to speak, that New Japan isn't saying anything. New Japan's not complaining, right?
Right.
So why would, and I don't think he ever actually went to MLW. That was some other dude. Why would New Japan not say something? Why would New Japan allow Tama Tonga to call all these people out and do all these things, right, when he's representing the Bullet Club in the process of doing it, unless they were behind it and wanting him to do it? And why would they? What would be their motivation to have Tama Tonga go off and run promos on this without them sending a cease and desist to AEW?
That is true, and I actually just, while you were talking, I just remembered one thing too that kind of gives you credence to that.
Now we know I'm wrong. We already knew I was wrong, but now we really know I'm wrong.
This is the litmus test right here. But this is based on fact, though. Chris Bay, who is signed to Impact Wrestling, was in the whatever that tournament is called, G1.
Yes.
He was in the G1, and obviously Impact would have to give their okay for him to be in that. So TJP was also in there, but he's not Impact exclusive, though. He does wrestle on MLW as well. So, but the fact that Chris Bay was on there, and let's also not forget that Rocky Romero was on the Talkin' Shop before Bound for Glory. So you're probably right. I didn't really think that one all the way through. So I think now that I'm thinking on those two situations, I think this gives more proof that there could be something between these three.
And I had heard at one point that New Japan was looking to enter into this partnership, but they couldn't do it because of COVID and travel restrictions.
That makes sense.
So, I mean, I was told that they were being held off because of that. And when I say told, I mean I wasn't talking to Tony Khan. I was talking to his dad. Tony doesn't know anything. Is the HeelCast folks? We got connections, but no, I read it online somewhere that said that that they thought this was going to happen, and that they thought it was just being held off, and this could just be New Japan's way of trying to inch their way into the door, and maybe at a pay-per-view down the road, have their Bullet Club now fight with the other new Bullet Club and really break things open and do something like really crazy big. It would be amazing if you then had a New Japan run in, a AAA run in and whatnot, and just had all this crazy cross promoting everywhere. It would be absolutely insane.
That would be a hell of a pay-per-view, I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would. I'm just wondering what Ring of Honor's stance in this all is. I don't know if. I mean, obviously we don't really know. I would assume they're still partners, but they haven't really been able to do anything because of COVID. So I'm just wondering how Ring of Honor would fit into that.
Ring of Honor, honestly, Ring of Honor fits in very nicely. It's a trash can. I mean, it's just a fucking disaster and a fucking mess, dude. I mean, Ring of Honor, it's just like, you know what? You know who they need to partner with? Oh shit. They did partner with NWA, didn't they? That's who they need to be partnered with. Yeah. They already fucking did it, okay?
Oh, that didn't last long,
oh,
did it?
Man, that went so well. Billy Corgan, I'll partner with anybody but Impact.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, he got his women's champion on AEW, which worked out like great for AEW because their women fucking suck. Okay, but now that they've pretty much stolen her. Now he's got Serena Deeb as his champ. Nobody gives a shit about Serena Deeb. So, yeah, great, good job, Billy.
And she's AEW. She signed a contract with AEW, I believe. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, she signed a contract with AEW. I think honestly the only women that are under the NWA banner is Thunder Rosa right now.
I thought Thunder Rosa was the one that had signed with AEW.
I think I know Serena Deeb has signed with AEW. I do know that because I saw that graphic when they were doing such and such is all elite. They would do that, and she was on there. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about NWA. They are like, what are they at this point? Is it just Billy just too stubborn to let it go, or is he just? How many breaks can you take?
So you are correct. First of all, you are correct. Serena Deeb is signed to AEW and appears in NWA where she's their current champion, and Thunder Rosa is signed to NWA and appears in AEW. So you are correct about that. So good work. All right. Now, as far as Billy Corgan, how many more things can he take? I mean, he made his own bed, and now he's laying in it. I mean, I hate to see anybody fail, and I hate to see him fail because of something like COVID. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that sucks. That sucks ass, right? But at the same point in time, I mean, he took a show which had a lot of potential when he first started to do something be a little bit different, and he made it cornier and cornier and cornier to the point where it was almost goddamn near unwatchable. And then he went, hold my beer, let's talk Carnyland. Okay?
Oh,
and then it was like, oh my God, this is legitimately the worst piece of television that I have ever fucking seen. Okay, and I lived through, what tournament I lived through. Okay, the horror. Let's not go there.
Don't I have PTSD
for weeks? I lived through that, and Carnyland made that look like compelling television, folks. I'm just saying. Okay, I would rather watch Bernie Sanders sleep in a fucking chair with his mittens on. Okay, for 8 hours than have to watch fucking Carnyland for an hour. Okay. Because at least Bernie has a nice pair of mittens. So, I mean, like, no, for crying out loud, he destroyed his product, and then COVID hit, and he was like, now what? But for some reason, I mean, I swear to God, I think he jerks off to Nick Aldis. I don't know why he keeps him on fucking staff, but he's still paying Nick Aldis, who now is probably making a grand total of $30,000 a year with Billy Corgan, okay, when he could actually have a real job somewhere else. And but I mean, I guess he's too busy boning Mickey James, which apparently everybody else has, because I've seen those videos.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he must be paying Aldis actually a decent amount, because if you're Nick Aldis, you're kind of just wasting the prime of your career away with NWA. I mean, he has been doing random title defenses on these small indie shows, which really nobody cares about, but. If you're Nick Aldis, like, you got to come to a point where you're like, why should I keep re-signing this and just be in no man's land right now when NWA's not doing anything? Like, I get it. You want to bring prestige back to the NWA World Championship, but it's like, you can't really do that if you're not showcased week in and week out. He's losing more, in my opinion, than he is by just taking the money and being the NWA World Champion. I think at some point he's going to have to come to a determination where I just can't do this anymore, and I gotta sign with somebody. I don't know who that is, but
I think he's in too deep. I think what happened was he went there thinking it was going to be a good thing, and then it wasn't. But he was a champion. A year goes by, 2 years goes by. We're still going to do big things, and the next thing you know, he's like, well, but I'm a champ here. And it's like, well, if I go to WWE, people go, who the fuck are you? If I show up on AEW, who the fuck are you? And he's not going to be able to show up and go, I was the world's champion for 2 consecutive years, because like guy like Moose is going to laugh at his face, right? Moose is going to be like, dude, I'm the TNA champion. What the fuck you're talking about? This is a legit belt. And God, that actually is way more legit than the NWA belt is these days. So,
right.
I mean, like, I feel like once he's in, and then it just spirals out of control. It's like when you start to tell one lie, and you got to tell another lie, another lie, another lie. I feel like that's where Nick Aldis' career went, and it's a shame because he is a talented guy and he had a lot of potential, but like nobody gives a fuck about him. I mean, I do. It would be cool if he showed up and did a run-in on Impact or AEW, but it won't be Impact because Lord knows he's setting up that Impact. He ain't going there. It'd have to be AEW, right?
Well, but let's review that just real quick. He tried. Remember when Willie Mack signed with Impact? Do you remember Nick Aldis just freaking out? Willie, you're wasting come to NWA. It's so much better. You're wasting your career away. It's like, why did you do that, Willie? And now the tables have turned, and lonely Nick Aldis. And let's not forget, Nick Aldis has heat in WWE, and I have no idea. He's mentioned it several times in interviews, but he will not go into details about it. So I have no idea why he has heat in WWE. Like, I don't know where that came from.
He pissed somebody off backstage when Mickey brought him on or something like that.
Something. Could be John. Who knows if it's John Cena? I don't. Who knows?
I mean,
it could be. You do know that they hooked up.
I mean, I told you, everybody's boned her.
Yeah.
She should have kept boning John Cena. This guy.
Right? Rode him to the top. Literally.
I think she did.
Yeah, she was champion, but then she got that good old WWE embarrassment storyline quite a few times. Yeah. And then speaking of Mickie James, this is the other news. They basically just decided, oh yeah, you're a legend now. No more wrestling for you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's like on. They will not let her wrestle anymore. WWE likes to do that. They've done that with several talents before. So they decide when your career is over, not you.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Yeah.
There's another guy that's kind of wasting away in NWA as well.
Yeah.
And that man is Eli Drake. Dummy, yeah.
Yes, he is.
His contract comes up in July. At least it comes up in June or July, I believe. But this is another guy, like, he's 30. Let's say he's 37, 38.
He's not young.
He's not young. He's still got plenty of years left. But he's got to get out of there quick. He's got to get out of there quick. And he's got no momentum. Like, all these guys that signed with NWA that had some momentum, it's all gone now. And I got a good one for you. I want you to give your thoughts, because this is a good one. You probably know where this is going. Referee Brian Hebner.
Oh, good God.
The floor is yours.
When I said about Nick Aldis returning to Impact, I'm like, oh man, the next thing's coming is Brian Hebner. Oh, you know what? Here's the deal. Brian Hebner. Yeah, karma, man. Karma come get you. Remember those burning bridges falling down? Man, I'm telling you, those guys, that's you burned your bridges. They fell down all around you, and now you come crying back because you need to work, or you want to work. Probably you're probably not making enough for the need to work. Probably just wants to do it so bad that he needs to, right? No, I mean, dude, it is what it is. It's like you say all that shit, and they're not doing this, and then the refs are scared refs, and blah blah blah, and they're a couple referee crews removed, from the ones they even had at that point, and it's like, oh wow, Brian Hebner's back. I don't know why they bother. I mean, a referee's a dime a dozen, but whatever. Yeah, it's the same shit, dude. Fuck.
I just think, that's egg on the face, and having your tail tucked between your legs, coming back to your former place of employment. So,
I mean, this is what happens when you're like, I'm gonna ride with the new guy, right? I'm gonna ride with the new guy, and then I'll say the new guy sucks. So we ride with the new guy, and the new guy sucks, and all of a sudden the guys you're riding with before, all of a sudden they're like, oh man, they're great guys to ride with, like they're dependable. They're actually a little bit faster, a little bit smarter, a little bit better. I should have ridden with them. And that's where Brian Hebner is. He should have just been like, you know what, they didn't need my services, so I'm moving on, and then left the door open. But who the fuck knows, man. And I'll be honest with you, like you mentioned Eli Drake. Eli is 38, by the way. I looked that up, so you were spot on with that. You're on fire tonight, except for that whole thing about NJPW and partnering with AEW. You're good with everything else tonight, right? Because you agree with me.
I'll take 15-1 if I can get there.
But Eli Drake is another one. He's basically dying in the NWA, and then he runs around on Twitter and he posts a bunch of stuff that turns off a good bit of fan base too. And it's kind of funny, when you have such a small fan base like that, you need to build yourself up and not down, But the good news that we have not seen Sienna on any other broadcast, which is great. Great.
Yeah. She's who's itching to sign Sienna right now?
Nobody wants to sign her. She's just Jordan Grace 1.0. I mean, Jordan Grace is really Sienna 2.0, right? I mean, that's the way that works,
Yeah, and even, you know what? I got to give some props to Jordan Grace. She has been making fun of herself on Twitter lately. Like, it's almost like, don't get me wrong, I haven't followed her enough to see her really. I'm sure she's made an annoying post here and there. But she made fun of herself a couple times, and she's actually got a little bit of a sense of humor. So I'll give her some respect for the tweets. And if you're curious to know what the tweets were, a fan said that she was doing a workout video from behind, so all you saw was her ass and back. And one of the fans goes, "Is that Otis?" And Otis is a wrestler in WWE who's just kind of like a small fat guy, kind of. I don't want to say he's fat. He's just bigger build. And she took it.
Maybe 2021 silly HeelCast. He's fat ass. All right, just say it, Earl. Just say it. That's what you want to say, man. We're the HeelCast.
Yeah. So she actually took that pretty well. So I give her some credit there. And she's been a little more lighthearted on Twitter lately. It doesn't seem she's getting people in trouble like Sabu or whoever she's complaining about. So that's another tweet she did. She actually laughed at Sabu's, because you heard about Sabu's book, right?
No.
Yeah, Sabu wrote a book apparently, and the last chapter or last page, he just does these shoots on like 7 different wrestlers. Like one was Ric Flair, one was Kurt Angle. It was hilarious, by the way. It was something like, "Kurt Angle, I had problems with you, but I'm not going to say anything bad about you because I may have to face you in the future." So I thought that was kind of funny. But he shot on Ric Flair. He shot on all these different people. Yeah, he's ECW. He's a style that none of those guys are going to associate with. So clearly they're not going to get along. But Jordan Grace, Jordan Grace and Sabu had their issues at I believe it was an Impact taping, possibly, but
I thought that was that the one where they were at the WrestleCon thing in North Carolina, whatever that show was, that big Wrestle Kingdom or whatever it was, some huge shit. It wasn't Wrestle Kingdom, that's NJPW. And Sabu, was it Sabu that made the comment? Was it somebody else that made the comment about the women shouldn't be main eventing, talking about Tessa? Was that him or was that somebody else? That might be somebody else.
So that was Sandman.
Okay, Sandman.
So if I remember this correctly, Sabu made a tweet. She didn't agree with it because it didn't align with the SJW crowd. Oh, good God. And that's where the feud came along.
Okay, this is different then.
So going back to her tweet about Sabu's book, she basically said, "Yeah, we had our issues in the past, but this is freaking hilarious." So you're giving Jordan props then. I think like I said, I haven't followed her a ton, but the last few tweets in the last couple months, she's been a little more lighthearted. She's not doing as much, shall we say, preaching. She's not doing a lot of preaching lately, so maybe she's got a new outlook. I don't know, but I'm gonna give her some props. Yeah, so we're definitely gonna have to edit this segment out of the show. Fuck that. Look, she's only doing it because her goddamn contract's coming up. And I'll be honest with you, hearing Sabu made a book really just makes me go, you know whose autobiography I want to fucking read? Actually, maybe I don't want to read it. Maybe I want to get on the audiobook. Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik's autobiography would be the greatest fucking book there ever was, dude. Think he could just read his tweets and that would just be freaking amazing. That dude actually, he's the I don't like Twitter. If you want to be on Twitter, there's only one reason to be on Twitter, and that's the Iron Sheik, especially after they kick Trump off, because there goes that entertainment value right there. But the Iron Sheik owns fucking Twitter. He owns everybody.
He's just a dude.
Did you see the tweet Iron Sheik sent out last week? He said, "Twitter doesn't deserve me."
He's right too,
and he's right. Yeah.
He is right. Yeah, he is completely right. He's
100% right.
I'm not arguing with it.
Right.
Oh man.
So, I mean,
I heard his Parler account got suspended.
Oh, really?
Along with everybody else's. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Parler's just kind of sitting there.
Oh man.
But yeah, NWA, it's looking pretty bleak for them. There's a lot of wrestlers that are signed that are just kind of wasting. Or no, I shouldn't say there's a lot of wrestlers. I should say the whole 10 of them are wasting away.
Yeah, I know.
Being signed to that pipe dream. And I want to ask you, what if? And I know this was never probably going to happen. Where would Impact be right now if Billy Corgan owned them?
Well, you know, it's probably just that they're probably dead, and I don't mean it in a bad way, because, you know, they had a TV deal when Billy was going to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they lost their TV deal, and if Billy would have been able to keep that TV deal, right? And then I think that they would have, you know, they could have been in better shape. But I don't know that he's able to, because, you know, they went in a different direction, right? And then the only thing that really kept them going was the fact that Anthem put them over on what the heck was the network that they put them on, that terrible outdoor Pursuit. Right, yep. Right, yeah, Pursuit. Yep. I keep wanting to say Paramount. It's definitely not Paramount.
The old Spike TV.
That would be wonderful if they were on Paramount.
Though? Paramount has really gone downhill from the Spike. I thought Spike had a good synergy, I should say. Paramount, what is it? There's nothing. I haven't heard of anything coming out of the Paramount network.
I mean, I don't watch it either, but all I can tell you is that it's still better than Pursuit.
Yes.
And so he didn't have a Pursuit network to put it on. So I think it dies with the TV deal at that point. I think is what happens. I don't think he could have controlled it. So it would have been different. And I try to remember that whenever we think about that. But Dixie knew that she was buying stability for the company and knew they had a much better shot at growing it than Billy did. And that's why she went with him. We talked about this at the time too. We all wanted Billy to get it, but we were also wise enough to acknowledge, you heard that here on the HeelCast, out of my mouth, that Dixie had inside knowledge as to what was going to go on, and she was going to make the right business decision for the company because she cared about the company, and she was maintaining a 5% ownership, at least back then. She might have sold that since then. She might still own it, who knows, but she was maintaining 5% ownership, and so 5% of a little something is better than 5% of nothing. Right. So that's pretty much the deal.
And the thing is, there was an interview with Scott D'Amore where he said basically that Pop TV was not, we could have stayed on, but we didn't like the time slot they were giving us. And so I guess they could have renewed at some point. So maybe Billy takes that 10 p.m.,
right,
9 p.m., maybe he takes it, whatever. But
shops it around some, does what he can do. Yeah,
does what he can do, sees what he can get. But yeah, I agree. I think, what better than to sell it to somebody who owns a TV station? I know they didn't own it at the time, but clearly there was something in the works where they felt comfortable, where they can leave Pop TV and,
No, but they did. They went to Pursuit. They still owned Pursuit at the time.
They
too,
still
so,
owned Pursuit,
yeah.
Right. That was
and they came to her with a plan and a vision that Billy didn't have. And they had a complete plan, a complete vision in their sales spiel. And they said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get a network. We're going to get it on the network. We're going to grow the network, the company, and the wrestling company together. And this is what we're going to do. It's going to be a slow and steady build, but you're going to see a return on that 5% investment. And Billy was just like, I'm taking it because you owe me money. And she's like, what do we can do with it? So everybody loses. And Billy managed to lose anyway, so that was fine.
Yes. And I mean, I remember our HeelCast back then where we were talking about this, but the only thing we didn't see, we had no clue about this anthem. They kind of just came out of nowhere. And then, we thought it was between, Billy Corgan, WWE, and then you reminded me of Aeroluge. Yep. So when we were talking back then, we thought it was just between those three, and we had no idea about Anthem because I think they just kind of came out of left field. So
yeah, and they've done a good job with stability in that company too. I mean, they really have. It's been a slow build. It's been painful. It really has been painful, but they've been consistent. They didn't fire Ed Nordholm every time a rating dropped. They basically like, all right, what's the plan? How are we executing the plan? What do we need to do to get where we need to go? And they just keep executing along, and they keep making minimal gains, then they add up. I tell my kids, every time you do something, do it a little faster and a little better than last time. Not a lot, just a little bit, because you can't sustain a lot. And we see that with these big ratings jumps, and then they drop, and they jump, and they drop, and but if you just gain a little bit every time, you're gonna eventually gonna win, and that's what they've been trying to do. And then I think they've done a pretty good job of it, So I don't think there's any complaint on that end.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, they had 100. Their rating this week was 186,000, I believe. And I'm going to ask you pretty much a rhetorical question, but do you remember what the ratings were when they left Pop?
Right around 186,000, wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
I mean, that number feels like that's right about where it was. So. Yep. I'm not one of those rating mongers guys, but yeah, that was about it. And so they're keeping all of the revenue for Anthem at this point.
Correct.
Right? Everything's coming home because now they're vertical in what they're doing. So it's a good it's a good model. Their expenses are a lot lower too. Don't get me wrong, that's also helping out.
They can't do it right now because of COVID, but they actually can charge, admission. When they're on Pop, they were always in the Impact Zone. They weren't getting anything. So, so I think I believe their TV deal with Pop, they were making, I think was it a $4 million a year, or was it less? It could have been maybe only $1 million. It
was profit sharing. On the advertisements is what it was. They got to share the advertisements is all they did, because Dixie put that in the article in the legal documents that we had to go to a profit sharing revenue because that was going to be better for us for the future. We knew we'd make more money. I was like, you're fucking kidding me? You did it because nobody would give you fucking upfront money. Oh my God.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, Vince McMahon's saying the same thing when he freaking gets $1 billion or whatever it is over 5 years for WWE Network to go to, Peacock, right? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
That's what Vince is thinking. Oh, let me get some ad revenue. No, fuck that. Pay me. Guarantee it. You go do all the work on it.
Right.
I'm gonna do wrestling, which is what I'm supposed to do. Is supposed to trying to get a couple extra bucks out of an advertiser. Let's see if we can get them to buy it for $23, $21, right? That's $2 more in our pocket. I need the one, right. Oh, it's not going to happen.
I lost so much money during COVID-19. Damn it.
Yeah, I know. Fuck him. Yeah, piece of garbage. But man. Yeah, so that's pretty much the deal. So, we got anything else, or are we wrapping this one up, man?
I just wanted to bring up that we had AEW won again this week, 734,000. NXT got 720,000. But yeah, it seems close. But Royal Rumble is this Sunday, so there's a little extra bump for WWE. I wouldn't worry too much. I think they'll go back down to 600,000, and AEW might shoot up to mid 800s. I'm just gonna give my prediction right there.
That'd be good. I didn't think there was anything super special about Dynamite either, so they weren't exactly like trying to kill it this week, I don't think. Although I do have to say one thing.
Yes.
I was, that Dax Hardwood Freudian slap. That Dax Hardwood match with Jungle Boy. That, I know, right? He's taking your gimmick. That match was shockingly great. I didn't expect it to be an ass match, but I didn't expect to actually I expected to be I'll watch it, maybe fast forward a little bit. No, that match was on the edge of your seat match. Those guys, they tore that house down, man. That match was fucking outstanding. But outside of that, the rest of the card was whatever. Even the main event, it's like they had to find a way to throw the Duck Dynasty dudes with the beards in there. You know who I'm talking about, Brody Lee's old group. Dark Order, whatever. Dark Order, Dark Dynasty. I mean, they both begin with D. You know what I'm saying? It's the same shit, and it's late tonight, Hurls. So, but at any rate, yeah, I mean, it really, the main event was not that much to write home about, so I can kind of understand where the ratings, slipped a little bit, and I think John Silver's great, but, when he's trying to man up against Doc Gallows, and Doc's just looking at him like, freaking kidding me? And JR is going, well, John Silver is a really big guy. He's built really well. I'm like, he's like 4'8", man. Like, I don't care how thick he is. You still knock him over with a freaking feather.
Right. He's basically Rich Swann's height, but bigger. A little bigger.
Is he as tall as Rich Swann? Oh, dude, I think
well, no, maybe Rich has got him beat by an inch or two.
I think Rich is probably bigger.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
But
the only thing else I got was I just wanted to say that the whole Tony Schiavone buying ads on Impact gimmick that's been going on, it was only supposed to be like a couple weeks, but it got such positive reviews that they're going to keep it going. I like them. I think they're hilarious. I know you kind of cringe at them, but I think that's almost half the fun of it.
I mean, I think if you're an Impact fan that hates AEW, and by the way, Rich Swann 5'8", John Silver 5'4", at least that's what their build heights are.
Wow.
Okay.
I could buy that.
But I think if you're an Impact fan that doesn't like AEW, I think you enjoy laughing at how idiotic Tony Khan looks. And I think that's the only reason to like it, because if you're trying to look at this from any kind of an objective viewpoint, any way, shape, or form, Tony Khan looks like a complete idiot that this should not be on TV, and all he does is he takes Tony Schiavone and makes him look just as fucking stupid. Tony Khan cannot talk, he cannot cut a promo. I mean, he's the most urban dude that there ever was. He just cannot do it to save his life, right? So get Tony Khan the fuck off my television screen, because I want to look at things objectively. I want to look at things through a clear lens, and you just can't do it and still appreciate Tony Khan. You just can't do it.
I think that's what makes it so funny. Like, it's so bad it's good kind of thing. But I just love that he said, I could file an injunction, but I'm not going to. I'm going to allow the AEW World Champion on your program, and I'm going to fund your show. Like,
and you can send some of your people my way too.
Right.
Ooh, let's keep it a buck, Tony. Let's keep it 100, man. Let's keep it real. I'm just saying. Oh my god.
Actually, honestly, I mean, if anyone's shining in those, though, like, I think Tony Schiavone, though, he did have some good burns, and I think Impact, as much as they love, giving people crazy send-offs, I think they're like a glutton for punishment. They like, yes, just say anything you want about us, just we'll take it, So at least I think they at least have a sense of humor when it comes to that. I know Scott D'Amore has a sense of humor, so.
I mean, I've seen Don Callis on TV. He has a sense of humor.
Yes. yes, he does. All right. Well, I think that's all we really got. I know we didn't really dive in. That's my fault, not really going into the shows, really. But
it's all right. It's fun to do a new show. I like new shows more anyway.
I think we had a lot to discuss tonight, actually, more than I thought.
And we're going to get back off of our rockers and do this again, man, like next week. And maybe bring Goldberg and Griggs on, and maybe we'll find RVE somewhere out there, too.
Yes. I hope. Hell, we might even bring CS back on. Who knows? So,
hey.
Yep. We'll see what's up with him. But, well, folks, that's all we got for tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully you will see us next week. Peace.
See ya.